Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and into another vlog. It's Sunday today and it's the last day of my creative solo retreat. The vlog to the main day was last week, so I'll have that linked down below for some more context. I have to check out of the Airbnb in a few hours, so I'm soaking in one last workout in the sun and enjoying the view whilst it lasts. I know once I get home I will need to catch up on all the house and life things I left behind. In summary, I've gone away for the weekend to devote uninterrupted time to creating as much art as possible to boost my creative journey of finding my artistic style. I spent all day yesterday doing just that, and I wanted to share some of my thoughts and realizations that happened throughout it. Here is some footage from yesterday where I get a bit chatty, so grab a drink or your paintbrushes and let's have a heart-to-heart. It's funny because I keep saying that I want to find my own distinctive style, figure out what my artistic style is, and interestingly, the more I'm doing this daily drawing, daily sketch kind of challenge for myself, the more I'm realizing I actually do have a distinctive style. Maybe it's subtly already there. I'm just not aware of it. So, for example, I'm always gravitated towards drawing florals. I love doing flower patterns, flowers or leaves or things like that. And so maybe my style is florals. But I've always known that. I just thought no, that's not my style. But maybe it is. I'm not good at it, so I feel like it's not my distinctive style. But the more I do it, the more I am realizing oh, okay, I don't have to follow a reference picture so much. I can just make it up as I go, and I can draw inspiration from that original, inspiration picture, but I don't have to follow each petal to the T. Obviously I'm not trying to copy someone else's work, but when you're starting out, you try to do what someone else has done so you can learn how to do that particular shape or style. But I've come to realize that maybe I'd be asking myself, what do I like drawing? How do I like to draw? How do I like to paint? And maybe that will be more natural than trying to seek it elsewhere. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. And it's funny because my husband always tells me, you have a style. You always draw flowers. And when you hear it from someone else, you kind of just realize, true. That is true. And during uni and stuff, we had this exercise where we go critique each other's work. Not really critique, but we go around the classroom and write down keywords that we think describe that peer's, artistic style. And I used to always get delicate and feminine, and that really stuck with me since the high school projects and uni projects I used to do. And I can't believe I didn't just lean into that. If it's already noticeable from other people, then that must be your style, unless I'm actively trying to change it. But I'm not. I'm trying to define it now. And so I'm thinking, well, I've always been told that. Why don't I just go with that? I do enjoy delicate, feminine looking things. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting and kind of something I can address in this video, since I'm on this solo trip trying to find my creative style, and like dedicating all this time to making art. And I think I'm just noticing a pattern, even 5 pages into my sketchbook, which isn't that much. But if I've already noticed a pattern, should I just roll with it? Yeah. Anyway, for anyone else who is in the same boat and trying to, find their voice, their creative voice, or, trying to establish a signature style, I highly recommend asking somebody else. Ask someone, how would you describe my work? And it'll most likely be how everyone else perceives your work. So yeah, don't trust yourself in this part. Go ask other people, because it's more than likely more helpful than ourselves trying to define it. I don't know. I'm just saying. Anyway, as I am saying that, I am painting the most delicate and feminine looking flower. The other thing is, I started to ask myself, like, what do I actually enjoy doing? Like, how do I actually like to draw? How do I actually like to paint? Because so many times I see other people's work, which looks beautiful, and I wish I could create the same thing. But when I go to try it, I just can't achieve the same result. And obviously it's going to take time and practice, but I actually don't enjoy it as well. Like, I've come to realize my favorite part of any drawing is doing the grey lead pencil at the start and then doing the fine liner. Like, I love that part. I always think anything I draw with just pencil and fine liner looks pretty good. But then as soon as I add color, and the more color I add, the more I don't like it. And in a sense, like, that's kind of why I like digital drawing a bit more, because I can always like Control Z and go backwards if I've like ruined it with the color. But in a traditional sense, I do prefer less. Like, even though I love the layering of colors and people do it really, really detailed with different, tones and shades and make it so beautiful. Me actually doing that process, I think, is more stressful, because I'm always worried it won't turn out the way I envisioned it to be. And usually it doesn't turn out the way I envision it to be. So I'm kind of leaning into this idea that, okay, maybe I only like drawing things that have like the fine liner, black line around it. So maybe part of my style is the black outline. So how about I just go with that? I'll draw the flower in grey lead pencil, and then I'll do the black fine liner around it, and then I'll just add a touch of color with gouaches or markers or colored pencils, or even better, a mix of everything, but like very small controlled injections of it. And then maybe that's the result I prefer, and that's how I like to work. So for example, let's see. Okay, so yeah, for example, in another sketchbook I've done, I have all these like fashion illustrations. And when I did these fashion illustrations, this was like 2020, 2021, like, I loved drawing, and it's the same kind of style. Like, let me show you, wait. Let me find one. So for example, it's the same. Like, I like fine liner and then a bit of color, but it's not fully colored. Like, do you see what I mean? I think maybe this is my style. Like, I draw all of my things like this. And so maybe that's it. Like I like using colored pencil to do sort of the shading and the highlighting and bringing in more depth to the image. But for the most part, again, fine liner and a bit of color, but the rest is like kind of a bit minimal. Like I like that look. Maybe this is my thing. Like maybe this is my style. See? Anyway, I'm sort of noticing a pattern here, you know, like I'm trying to figure this out without not trying too hard, but like, you know what I mean? Creating more like fuss over it than it needs to be. So what have I learned so far? I like drawing fashion illustrations and I like drawing flowers. So I just did that one there. Again, fine liner, bit of color. So now I've done the first layer, which is with the gouache painting, and I like that watercolor look. And then I might go in and enhance it with the markers and the colored pencils. And then that might be the finished art, you know? And this I can sort of see turning into a distinctive style. Like between flowers and the fashion illustrations, you can almost see similar, actually you can definitely see similar ways of drawing. So I think this might be it. I don't know. I thought I would be drawing like way more into the sketchbook before I figured it out. But if this is the way, I'm going to lean into it because I also want to get to a point where I can create artwork really quickly. So if this becomes the formula and I can constantly churn out artwork in this style, in this way, and at a relatively quick pace, then I think this is the way to go, because that means I can, you know, create new things quickly. And this is just the first step, because eventually I do want to turn it into digital prints. So yeah, anyway, I think that's where my mind is at with this. Let's continue and then see how it turns out. I've just done the first layer to this drawing, but I'm waiting for the gouache to dry. So I thought I might just hop in and say a few more words about being creative. I feel like it's not really talked about often, and I struggle with this myself. And so if anyone else can relate, or if this is encouraging to anybody else, then I hope you're watching this. So I just wanted to say that when I first started out this channel and I called it The Creative Life, it was kind of like me manifesting that I wanted a creative life. And at the time I worked in sales. I worked at the women's fashion company, women's wear brand that you would have seen my earlier work vlogs in. And as much as I was still in the industry that I wanted to work in, I wasn't in the position that I wanted to work in. So I've studied textiles design when I was younger, and I've always wanted to do a design role, a creative role, but I found it really hard to get in. And no matter how many roles I applied for, how much stuff I did outside of work to support it, I just really struggled to get a design role. And now I'm production manager at a women's handbag company, which, yes, there are some design aspects, but a majority is not drawing and sketching and things like that. And that's where I really, really want to work in. That's where my passion is. That's where I feel really lit up by. And I'm not quite there yet, but having said that, I still enjoy the role I'm currently in, and I know there's progression and there's, you know, one step at a time. We'll eventually get there. But in the meantime, in my non-professional life, in my personal life, in my downtime, I will try and be as creative as possible. And that's why I named it The Creative Life, because it was almost like me making a promise to myself that I'm going to be more creative in my day-to-day life. It doesn't have to just be in my work. And if I can't get it in my work, then it's even more important that I do it outside of work. And I have the luxury at the moment where, you know, it's just me and my husband, and I don't have any kids yet. And so I have the freedom and the flexibility to do this. So if you're not in this stage of life and you have way more responsibilities, then yeah, I hope you can find a way to do that with, you know, how you can. So basically, yeah, I created this channel back when I worked in sales and I worked in 9-to-5 job. And once you come home, you basically, you know, cook dinner, relax a little bit, and then you go to sleep and you wake up the next day and do it all again. And that's when I did like the commute to the city. So it took me 1.5 hours every morning, every evening to go to work and come back. And so realistically, I only had about a couple of hours at night to myself to do things that were not work related, not adult life related, and yeah, just for my pure joy and enjoyment. So that's when I sort of made it my goal to dedicate 1 hour a night, most nights, to do something creative. And I didn't really restrict it as to what. I just thought about, okay, well, what do I feel like doing? I'll just do that. Don't think too much about it. Go straight ahead, do it. Because if I think too much into it and I think too much about it, then I'll eventually not do it because I'm overthinking it. So yeah, if I've gone, okay, I saw a fuchsia flower and I'm like, I'm going to draw that next. And the next time I sit down, I will just draw it. Like, I don't even need to look at anything else and, you know, weigh up all the other possibilities I could be doing. Whatever I think of, just go ahead and do that. And so that's where I kind of stand with that. And yeah, I actually forgot what the point of this was. I just kind of rambled on. So what I was saying was, a couple of years ago when I first started this channel, I didn't really have the creative life. Like, it's what I wanted and it's what I wanted to work towards, but I didn't have it at the time. But through having the YouTube channel, it sort of encouraged me to lean into it more, to create it for myself, because it's not going to happen if I don't make it happen. And so that's when I thought, okay, realistically, when I look at my calendar and I've time blocked all the things that I have to do, like work 9-to-5, commute 3 hours in that day, and, you know, cook dinner, pack my lunch for the next day, go to sleep early so I have a relatively good, you know, sleep routine. How much time do I actually have? And realistically, I only had about 1 to 2 hours every night to do something else that's not just life related. And that's when I was like, okay, what can I do? So that could be drawing, painting, crocheting, editing a YouTube video, anything that just made me feel creative, and I just do it. And so that was the start of it. And back when I first started YouTube, obviously it took me a long time to edit a video and learn how to do that. So that took up the majority of the first year or so. But once I kind of got into the rhythm, and especially now, I feel like I can do more other creative things, like drawing and painting and crocheting, and really lean into that a bit more. And so I just made it my goal and intention to add more creativity into my life so I can live the creative life. Like, yeah, it's like when I made the channel, I manifested this and I, you know, put it out into the universe. This is what I want my life to look like. And then over time, I just made step by step, little steps towards it, and made sure I could do what I set out to do. So that could look like, you know, making sure in 2 days of my, like the 2 days of the weekend, I allow 1 day for hobbies. Obviously, you know, you've got your house chores to do and you catch up with friends and family, and that's all very important as well. So I try to, you know, stagger my catch ups with friends, making sure, you know, I do it every couple of weeks, but then I always, dedicate one full day of nothing, so I can do the stuff at home that I really want to do, and allowing myself to have that empty day. Like, I don't cram my calendar. I don't like it when I have back-to-back events and too many things on the weekends. So I try to clear it out, minimalize it, and just book in time for myself. Like, it's tricky sometimes when I look at my calendar. I'm like, okay, I ideally would like one day of chores and social activities and one day of hobbies and just taking it slow and relaxing at home. That would be ideal for me. But sometimes things pop up and then I will just shuffle my calendar and try to make it work. But I try to, give as much time to this as possible because it's a priority in my life, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is making small, consistent progress. Even if every night I just spend, half an hour on it, it's better than nothing. And we're here for progress over perfection. And so, it's better than nothing. So I will do a little bit every day, maybe 5 days during the week. And I'm happy with that. At the end of the day, I'm kind of treating my full-time job as my part-time job. And my full-time job is actually my life. So when I finish work, I'm like, okay, back to life now and back to the things I really want to do. Whereas, if you think of it the other way, like a full-time job is your life, then everything you do outside of it is going to be, secondary. So if you really want to switch it around, I would suggest that mindset, which is to think of your full-time job as your part-time job. You're still working full-time hours, but you think of it like a part-time job. You're like, okay, 9 a.m., I'm starting my part-time job. I'm going to try my best, do everything I can, give it 120%. But when I finish at 5 p.m., I'm going back to my real life, and that is what I really want to do, and that's where my real passions are, and that's where, that is my life. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I suddenly feel like chatting to you guys a bit more, letting you in on like my mindsets and like, the journey I've been on. Anyway, I'm rambling. The bottom line is I'm finding it hard to get a full-time job in something that's design orientated. And so if I can't get it in my full-time job, I try my best outside of work to work on it. And if something, who knows, something might bloom from that. But we'll see. Anyway, I don't actually know if I'm going to put this in the vlog, but I just felt like sharing it, so we'll see.
It's time to head home now and go back to reality. I really enjoyed this experience and I feel like I got out of it what I set out to do, which is such a win. Very keen to do it again soon and for longer next time. That brings me to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more from me. Have a lovely day and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!